The Opinion with Michael J. It's become painfully obvious, folks, that Pierre Polievre has not learned a thing after this last election. Now, the riding of Carleton, which he lost after being there for 20 years, rebuked him resoundingly. And that's a wake-up call to him that he should be doing things differently. But instead, he goes to a safe riding in Alberta, which is trying to separate, hooks up with separatists, wants to separate, and he just goes back to the same old bag of tricks of platitudes. And, you know, we're dealing with a situation down in the United States with a fascist conservative government, which, by the way, has the same treasurer for the Republican Party down there, that's hooked up with Stephen Harper, that's the chairman of the same organization in Canada. So Harper's working for the Alberta government. Daniel Smith, Pierre Polievre, they're all together in this. So instead of working together to unite Canada from side to side, from the East Coast to the West Coast, just going back to the old bag of tricks, here we are, May the 30th, and puts this video out. And it's first 10 to 15% of this video is creating platitudes with Trudeau and Carney next. So then he moves on to another set of platitudes between Trudeau and Carney to state Carney's spending is worse than Trudeau's. Like, you can see for yourself. Let's play it for you. You can witness for yourself. Don't take my word for it. It's right here. Let thou be the witness.
You got to hand it to them. Liberals are masters of symbolism. See, in the recent election, to convince people that they were no longer the party of reckless spenders, they abruptly replaced a leader who looked like a reckless teenage trust fund baby with a stern-looking banker. The jet black, carefully groomed hair replaced the uncombed surfer dude hairstyle. The corporate dress shoes replaced the childish running shoes. The MBA lingo replaced the dreamy rhetoric. The spend less, invest more slogan replaced the budgets will balance themselves rhetoric of Justin Trudeau. Wow, what a change. But do the numbers back up the symbolism? Well, we found out this week. Prime Minister Carney tabled his first spending package.
Let's make one point very clear, Mr. Poliev. You state change is necessary, but you have not changed. You are the one that is getting in the way of uniting this country. You are the one that's getting in the way of this country changing how it does things. So what do you have to say for yourself, Mr. Poliev?
Before the House of Commons, called the main estimate. See, government has to get the approval of the House of Commons to do any spending. So they put forward this package, and it will stack up against the previous Trudeau spending. And to be fair, Mr. Carney's spending is not as bad as Trudeau's. It's worse to start with. We know that he inherited a morbidly obese Liberal government, and he promised to, quote, spend less. But his first spending bill...
Oh, then here we go. So this was May 2, this Globe and Mail, special to the Globe and Mail, May the 2nd. This new government was only voted in on the 28th of April. So here we are. You know, you got to see the trends. Let's call it for what it really is. All this guy knows how to do is fearmonger, divide people, not unite. He builds walls, not bridges. He knows not of what he do. Jesus would forgive him. We forgive him. You can change your ways, Pierre. Let's unite this country. Let's not be pulling it apart.
Will increase costs by 8% more than Trudeau did in his last year in office. Let's get this straight. Justin Trudeau doubled our national debt and nearly doubled the cost of government. And Mark Carney was elected to bring those costs down. And in the first year after taking office, the year when you would expect him.
Okay, here's the first. He was not elected to bring those costs down immediately. He was elected to transform the economy because the economy needs to be transformed. Let's get that clear. The problem with you, Mr. Poliev, is you lie too much, sir. All so that you can just get into power and waste people's time. We've had enough time wasted. We've got to build, unite, and make this a better country. Simple as that.
To take action against those out-of-control costs, he actually increased them by 8%. In fact, the spending will grow almost 3 times faster than the combined rate of inflation and population growth. It is a $500 billion spending bill with no budget. Single moms, seniors, and small businesses must budget before they spend.
And here's another misleading fact. And Poliev should know, and if he does not know, he's blatantly ignorant to what he's doing then. Because to think that a personal budget, single mom budget, and a business budget is the same as a government budget is the worst travesty trying to compare to a government budget. It just doesn't work. It's the dumbest thing you can do. And why people do that makes no sense. It means that they're ignorant because they don't know how to run a government, which is coming back at you there, Mr. Poliev. You claim to know how to run a government, but you have no freaking clue what you're doing. Because fear-mongering and cut, is only going to strangle the economy. If you're going to make investments, you got to spend money and invest in your economy. So there's a big difference between the two. And Mr. Poliev, you obviously do not know the difference between the two based on what you're stating here in this video.
How come this supposedly brilliant banker cannot do the same, especially after he went around the country claiming to be the man with the plan? And no, this new spending is not, quote, investment, as he likes to say. Consultants, for example, get a record-smashing $26 billion, up 36% in just 1 year.
So what?
That's over $1,400 for every household in Canada in federal government consultants for the coming year. Spending on bureaucracy is up 6% to $63 billion. Again, almost doubling the pace of inflation and population growth.
All you do is fearmonger. Can you come up with some actually constructive policies or put forth something constructive? All you're doing is fear-mongering. Tax cuts just bloat the operating budget. Like, give me a break.
Literally promised in his Tuesday morning throne speech to cap operating spending at 2% per year, and then the afternoon of the same day, his government introduced a bill that would boost the overall spending by 8%. In other words, 4 times higher than he had promised that morning. Liberals changed the face at the top. You know, they plagiarized conservative economic speeches and messages.
No. Because I'm going to tell you, a conservative platform doesn't work. And to say that somebody's copy-paste to the conservative platform is false, because if we're going to use a conservative platform, we're setting ourselves up for a disaster. So that doesn't work here, Mr. Poliev. Does not work, sir. You may fool most of the people, but you're not fooling me.
But all that really matters is the numbers. And the numbers don't lie. This is the same Liberal spending by the same Liberal team, which will bring the same Liberal debt, Liberal inflation, and Liberal taxes. It will mean our youth are still unable to.
Nothing's changed in 28 days, 30 days. Here's the other thing you got to be aware of. In Ontario, 1995, Conservative government under Mike Harris, that this guy models himself after, same as Stephen Harper. The common sense revolution is the dumbest thing that ever happened to Ontario. You're still trying to get your healthcare system corrected after the cudgel slashing of Mike Harris. But anyways, the 407. They sold the 407 to SNC Lavalin, which Mike Harris ended up sitting on the board for a long time, for $3 billion. Meanwhile, they gave up over $30 billion. It was a cash cow, and they gave it up to balance the books. That's how smart these guys are. Not very smart. So, Stephen Harper, you and Pierre Polievre had your chance for 20 years. And look what you've done. You've done nothing for the Canadian people.
To afford homes, mothers lined up at food banks, seniors choosing between eating and heating. You know, you'll have to think twice before you even go for a little cup of coffee. So what do we do about it? Well, Conservatives are going to use our increased numbers in the House of Commons. We got an extra 24 seats and 2.4 million votes to fight for a lower cost government and more money in your pocket.
You're not going to put more money in people's pockets. You finally, the day before the election, you came up with your costed platform, and the tax cuts you promised for people, which was double the tax cuts of the Liberals, was back-end loaded to the fourth term, but you never told anybody that part about it. You just deceive. You got no plan. You just want to be in power. So what are you going to do that actually helps people other than waste time for a government that's newly in place, that's looking to change and transform the Canadian economy? And don't forget, Mr. Poliev, your first budget with Stephen Harper didn't come out till after 4 months when you first got elected. That's the facts.
We want cuts to bureaucracy, consultants, corporate welfare, foreign aid, and other wasteful spending to bring down debt, taxes, and inflation. We'll put...
Yeah, here he keeps going on and on. He keeps going. You know what? They did that in the United States. A guy like by the name of Elon Mussolini. They called it Doge. And guess what? They found out that there wasn't much waste there at all. There really was not any waste, but yet what they did was disrupted the institutions and the civil service to the point that it affected human lives. Friggin' planes and helicopters crashing in the sky. And they're still not recovered from it. You haven't seen the worst of it yet. The United States, you have got to follow what's going on there, because you got some major problems in the States, and that's all based on a platform that Pierre Polievre wants to institute here in Canada. You just have to look to what's going on in the United States to know that's not going to work. You've already got the example of what's not going to work.
Put hard caps on government spending. Instead of printing money, we'll empower Canadians to produce more of the stuff money buys: energy, homes, food, and more. That will bolster purchasing power with bigger paychecks that retain their buying power. We want to put you back in charge of your life and your money. We don't need a change in hairstyle in Canada. Not a new suit or a nice pair of shoes or even a fancy resume. What we need is a change in direction.
You need to change your ways, Mr. Poliev. Let's get down and dirty and let's help people. Let's not continue with these slogans, platitudes, looking to divide people. You know, here we are 30 days after the election, and where are you? You're already Mr. Negative. You're building walls, not building bridges. You need to change your ways, sir. So, people, questions, comments, throw in the comments section. I hope this was illuminating for you, because these are the facts. You're dealing with a guy that just wants to cut, which, you know, when you cut 1,000 cuts, all you're doing is strangling the economy. You have to invest, and invest means change. And you've got to be able to assess what needs to be changed before you invoke change. So questions, comments, comments section. Love, peace to everyone. Thanks for watching. Take care. Talk to you all soon. Ciao for now.